Coming up, if you do this one thing every day at work, I'll guarantee you're going to get plenty of pay raises. And then the white-collar recession is here. What is it? We'll break it down and how it affects you next. I am helping you win at work because you're a freaking professional. And you need to be treated that way. And I'm here to lean in to help you because I can tell you this. If you're winning at work, you are winning in such a huge part of your life, and it will have positive impacts on your mental, emotional, and physical health and financial health. So you get it. Let's go. What's this one thing that if you do this, and I'm going to back off and say, if you do this 2 out of 5 days, I think you get ahead. I'm making a point here. Now, I think if you do it every day, you are guaranteeing professional and financial success. Financial success being making more money. If you do this, but I really believe if you just do it 2 out of 5 days a week, you are going to so outpace your competition being people that may come in from the outside, people that are on the inside. You're just going to outpace your peers. You're going to stand out so much because few people are intentional to do this one thing. The reason they're not intentional to do this one thing is because we don't teach people to do this thing. I have long been certainly an advocate, a loud mouth about what we should be teaching kids in school and in college. And I'm not going to go down that list. That's a separate episode. But can I tell you, this one thing that I'm talking about that is so vitally important to winning at work and giving yourself the opportunity to grow. If we taught this intentionally, we wouldn't have the issues we have in the workplace today. What is the thing, Alex? What is it? It's a rhetorical question. He's not talking back to me. He knows that. This is rhetorical. What is it? It's 3 words. It's winning with people. Winning with people. Now, some of you are going, okay, Ken, man, you woke up a little fired up today. No, I didn't. LinkedIn backs me up. Let's get to some data, shall we? Got to get the readers out. My goodness, we've hit that stage of life. Here we go. LinkedIn released their 2024 list of most in-demand professional skills. Here we go. Just a quick list. Let's see if we see a pattern. Number 1, communication. 2, customer service. 3, leadership project management. Number 4, teamwork. Number 5, sales. Number 6, problem solving. So I get out my Ken Coleman Show pencil and I go communication. And I go, that's a people skill. Customer service, that's a people skill. Leadership, project management, we'll call that half people, half process. Teamwork, hello, that's a people skill. Sales, what do we got here? Yeah, you guessed it, a people skill. And then problem solving, watch this. I think that's half people and half process. 4 types of work in the world. People work, process work, idea work, and object work. So here we go. Communication, customer service, leadership, project management, teamwork, sales, problem solving. All 6 have a heavy quotient of people skills. So LinkedIn, by the way, isn't just sticking their, opinion out there. They're in the business of talking to and listening to leaders because they are in the hiring game. So I would pay attention to this if I were you. So, winning with people. If you win with people, you win at work. That's the bumper sticker today. If you win with people, you will, in fact, win at work. By the way, just a quick little aside, this has a huge relationship component to it as well. If you win with your spouse, you win in life. You win with your kids, you're winning in life. You win with your friends, you're winning in life. So winning with people, those three words is the theme today. This is the thing that if you do, and again, I was having some fun with this, but look, if and I'm going to break this down practically, but let's just say 2 out of the 5 days at work, you're intentional to win with people. You're ahead of the competition. You're standing out. If 5 days a week you are winning with people, there's no stopping you. Now, let's break that down. What does winning with people look like? What could it look like if you're intentional and you're driving into the office or you're working remotely and you got a bunch of Zoom meetings and you got a bunch of emails and you ask yourself the question before you start your workday, what is one way or what are a few ways that I can win with people today? That's how I think you should start your day. I think it's a little fun reset as you start each new day to go, okay, how can I win with people today? All right, so let's, by the way, I wish, Alex, this is when we could take, like live feedback. And when I speak for live crowds, I would say, all right, give me some ideas. And so somebody might say, you know what? I want to find a way to help a coworker today. Great. That's a great way to win with people. I mean, you're just, the radar's up and we're kind of, you ever watch those military movies, they're in the submarine and they're looking for ships and that little sonar or radar is kind of going around. And that's what I think you're doing here. Now, if you're in the customer service game, serving your customer well is also a mandatory and fundamental way to win with people. But how about your leader? How about asking your leader if there's anything that they can hand off to you? Is there something that, hey, is there any way I can take something off of your plate? Even if they don't give it to you. That's a way to win with your leader. So we've talked about winning with your coworker, winning with your leader. Let's talk about this. How about in the way we communicate in a meeting? How about we go out of our way in maybe all of our meetings just today and we say, I'm going to look for an opportunity to praise a teammate or praise my leader. Now, not kiss butt. It can't be it can't be that, that magoo and that fake crap. I'm just saying, by the way, and the best way to make something not magoo and a little gross is don't do it in the meeting. How about the meeting's over and you side up, you kind of move right up beside your coworker, you're walking out and you go, hey, listen, that thing you said, this idea, that was great. Well done. Walk away. Let me tell you something. That is winning with your teammate. You can certainly say it in front of the group. Hey, well done. That's a great idea. I love that. It could be a piggyback. That's really good. That makes me think about this. Again, supportive, encouraging, positive, empathetic. Hey, you see somebody on your team and they're a little bit down. Hey, listen, I don't want to get in your business. I can see you're down. Let me know if you want to talk. Win with people. Zig Ziglar famously said, and I'm paraphrasing, you can have everything in your life you want if you help other people get what they want. And so this idea that I always got to get ahead through sheer competition, it's not limited to that. I'm all for competing and competing the right way, being your best, putting your best foot forward. That's all good. But this idea that I've got to be selfish and singular focused about me as the way to win, it's just simply misguided. And I think it's only half the equation. And I think that people who win with people and also do a good job of putting out good results are ultimately the ones that are going to win and win big. So, we revisit the main thought of today's lesson is this. If you want to win at work, start winning with people. Start developing the soft skills and people skills, and then intentionally use them and watch your career and your money explode. Hey, high school seniors and parents of high school seniors, it's almost graduation time. And if you're not sure about next steps, I want you to listen to this. Coding skills are essential in today's workforce. And my friends at Bethel Tech can help you start a new career really fast and do it cheap. It only takes 9 months to complete a Bethel Tech course in UI, UX design, full stack development, data science, or cybersecurity. And your young person can get over 1,000 hours of experience in a collaborative environment and then get placed. The average starting salary for a junior developer is $66,000. And the field is projected to grow by 22% over the next 5 years. Software development is a career with an enormously bright future. And right now, Bethel Tech is offering you 10% off if you watch or listen to the Ken Coleman Show and you pay cash. So go to betheltech.net/Ken Coleman, betheltech.net/Ken Coleman right now for details. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, there is a simple formula for beginning to turn your professional growth in a positive way. In other words, if you feel maybe stuck, confused, you're just not heading the right direction in your professional growth, you're not moving up, you're not making progress. Anytime I hear that from somebody, as a guy who is blessed to get to coach people, I immediately move to clarity of self. In other words, self-awareness. I want to see how aware a person is of themselves. And I always start with, what do you do best? What do you enjoy doing? What results motivate you? And so we've got a simple tool that we created called the Get Clear Assessment that essentially does that. It is a superpower. Self-awareness is and always will be a superpower, and we're talking about a professional application here. And so to the extent that you know what you do best, what power tools you bring to your professional opportunities, the work that you look forward to, that you lose yourself in, where you just have joy. And then to know what motivates you. No leader can motivate you. No self-help book can. I can't. No one can motivate you. But if I can help illuminate you as to what motivates you, watch out. So that's the core methodology. We've got the assessment that has done very, very well. It's called the Get Clear Assessment. It's not a personality test at all. It's going to help you. I walk you through and ask you questions that allow you to see yourself as the professional that you want to be, and it shows you the work you were wired to do. It's called Find the Work You're Wired to Do, is the new short book that goes with the Get Clear Assessment. So you get the assessment. This is really about the assessment. And then this little book, Find the Work You're Wired to Do, helps you use your results better. We initially put out the assessment, and it's helped a lot of people, but this is going to help a lot more people because this is going to walk alongside of you. So you can get it now, kencoleman.com. It comes with the assessment. We also have the audio and the ebook version as well. Great graduation present. Post-graduation, for that struggling college student who's trying to figure out the future. It's good for anybody, any age. So there you go. All right. Boy, this is a very interesting topic. Are we in a white-collar work recession? Let's define white-collar work. This is not trade jobs. This is more office, your typical corporate stuff, small business as well, but you're in an office, and thus the description of white-collar. Okay, the white collar work also tends to be used as we look at work that is higher paying. So, very interesting stuff here. I'm reading some things about this. This has popped up, and I think you can make the case that we are in a white collar work recession. In other words, the job market for your six-figure earners in white-collar jobs is shrinking. And you don't hear about this much, and this is starting to get some attention, and I'm glad it is. And so I'm going to paint the picture for where we are, and a lot of you may be caught up in this, and then I'm going to tell you, what do you do about it to not get caught up in this? Because this is a very real situation. Let's describe the situation. We know this because we see some data from Vanguard, an investment management company, very legitimate, been around a long time. And they released their latest report on hiring. And they can tell by looking at the enrollment and contribution rates of 401k retirement plans that they manage. And so they can calculate the hiring rate nationally by income level. And here's what their numbers show. We have two different levels in the job market. You could call them tiers, two different areas of the job market. One is the blue collar trade type jobs and hourly wages. We can put that in there as well. And there's a real boom over there. Those jobs, a lot of jobs being added. A lot of this is because of the recovery from the pandemic, where we saw a lot of those hourly wage jobs drop. The trades have been booming in the middle of the pandemic and continue to do so because there's such a huge need. In fact, the trades, and you look at the trade associations, if I had every one of the big shots from all the trade associations sitting in here with me right now, they would all say, Ken, we have massive opportunity. We can't find enough people. All right, so we're seeing with high demand like that, those jobs are readily available. They pay very well. And listen, I've talked about this on the show too. Quick reminder, this is why a lot of American parents, 46% of American parents are now saying they would prefer their kids go the trade route. Whoa! Why? It's math. Less time to get in, less money to spend in getting qualified, and you actually have a better path to six figures with potential business ownership. So, more. Those who make less than $55,000, the hiring rate is held up. At 1.5%, it's still above pre-pandemic levels. But among those who make, and this is where we get to the different tiers here, those who make more than $96,000, it's actually really bad. Hiring has slowed to 0.5%. Less than half the peak in mid-2022 when we saw the Great Resignation and everybody was just like playing musical chairs and moving up and getting paid more. Okay. Now, if you remove the months of the pandemic when you saw a lot of jobs lost, this is the worst the job market has been for white-collar workers and the above $96,000 earners since 2014. And can I tell you that I'm in a Bible study with 20 guys, 25 guys every Tuesday morning. And there are a handful of guys that are really successful and have made really good money. And they've been out of work for well over a year and a half. These guys aren't duds, Alex. I mean, they're very successful. By the way, made a lot of money. And they've been smart with their money to where they're not struggling, but financially. But can I tell you, they're struggling emotionally? Just a quick reminder here on the Ken Coleman Show, one of our core values is that we believe that we were made to work. And I can tell you these guys who could retire from their investments, they're in tears. Why? They're not working. So let's keep going. And then we're going to land this plane on what do you do if you're in this situation? How do you try to avoid getting stuck in this white-collar recession? So let's look at a couple reasons why, and this will help us now determine what we do. Here's a few reasons why we could be in this recession. Number one, the Great Resignation is done. People aren't moving a lot. And so there aren't as many open jobs in these white-collar jobs. People are staying put. They're kind of worried. When does this economy start to dip? We've been in kind of a real weird economy for the last several years. And people are starting to go, well, this isn't going to last forever. And so there you go. That's one. Now, here's another one. We've seen a lot of layoffs in tech and finance. These big public companies, and are making headlines for cutting fat. Hello, high salaries. And so when these major companies do it, public companies do it, then a lot of your tech and finance companies that aren't big, they kind of follow suit. So that's interesting. We're also seeing a lot of headlines where major CEOs said, you know what, we've got too much, we're top heavy, too many executives. Mark Zuckerberg, this is a great quote, found this quote. Mark Zuckerberg said, managers managing managers, managing managers, managing managers, managing the people who are doing the work. It's a great Zuckerberg quote. And so that's another reason. And so if you are out of work or you get laid off or a division is shut down, and this is the couple of guys that I'm talking about, this happened to them, and they make really good money. They're very talented, but they're in a situation where companies are going, if you make really good money, and I'm talking like mid to high six figures here, those jobs aren't readily available, and this is the idea here. And so companies are pulling back on costs, and so when budgets are tight, what's happening is you have a combination here, I think, of lower hiring and less quitting. And I think people are just sitting right now. This is the great sit. It's the great stay. It's kind of like, let's just see how this economy goes. We got a presidential election coming up. You've got inflation moving back up. The Fed saying we're not doing anything on rates. I think a lot of people are like, man, are we headed for some financial storm? And we've been in such a low unemployment rate. And so at some point the job market cools. And so what do you do about this? All right, number one, I cannot emphasize enough that even in the best of times, you need to act like it's the worst of times. And I'm not a sky is falling guy, but in the best of times professionally, you need to keep your foot on the gas to stay connected to people, because when the shoe falls, you better have a strong connection network to where you've got some opportunities. Where people go, man, this guy just became, or this gal just became a free agent, and we need them. They're valuable. Number two, build up your cash reserves. Build up the rainy day. I cannot tell you how these guys have stayed afloat because they were really, really smart with their money. Number three, have a side gig, some type of consulting or maybe a side hustle that could be ramped up if you needed it. I think if you do those three things, you can make yourself white-collar recession-proof. But that's the facts right now. So we're seeing a contraction right now on higher-paying white-collar jobs, and you need to be aware of that and protect yourself. This is the Ken Coleman Show. All right, helping you win at work so that you can win in your life. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Let's go to Steve now, who's joining us for a coaching session. He's in the Asheville, North Carolina area, one of my favorite places. Steve, how's it going today?
Oh, not bad, Ken.
Good.
Nice to finally talk to you.
Good to talk to you, sir. How can I help?
So my question is, should I quit my job that I enjoy and has a ladder for growth with the federal government and start my own business in the small town where I live to stay closer to my family? Or should I try to convince my family to relocate closer to Asheville where I'm currently working?
Okay, tell me about the family. Who are we referring to specifically?
My beautiful wife, Kendra, and today it's her birthday, and we have 3 beautiful children.
Oh, wow. I thought you might be talking about extended family like in-laws or your parents. So what's going on? How long have you so you're currently with them now? Or you're separated?
We're together. We're not separated, but I'm working in Asheville, North Carolina, but my home is in Georgia.
Okay.
2.5 hours away.
All right. So now I'm caught up. So the opportunity with the federal government is in Asheville?
Well, there's a lot more opportunity than there is in the small town in Georgia where I live.
Okay. And so your question then is, do I uproot everybody and go to Asheville for opportunity? or do I
Right.
stay? And is it just your immediate family, your actual wife and kids, or is there other family in this small town of Georgia?
Oh, there's a whole lot of family.
That's what I thought. That's what I was getting at. Okay.
It's my wife's parents, her siblings. I've got 10 nieces and nephews, and my daughters. They've got eight cousins or 7 cousins, and one more on the way. So yeah, it's a really big family in a small town.
Do you think that your head is telling you one thing and your heart's telling you another, or is your head and heart both kind of telling you the same thing? If we just take everybody else's feelings and comments and opinions out of this thing, and
yeah,
what's going on?
I'm definitely conflicted because my head is telling me, stay with the federal job, continue working towards the federal pension because I'm at 19 years because I bought back all of my military time. And I've been working for the federal government for 5 years now.
There in Georgia.
Well, I was working in Georgia for 4.5 years, and then I just started this job in North Carolina just 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay, and the family came with you.
No, they didn't.
Okay,
they're
I'm so sorry.
Georgia.
This has been so confusing for me. Okay,
because
I thought you said you were together. So
we are.
I don't mean when I
very...
said separate, I don't mean marriage-wise. I just mean are you physically? You guys aren't sharing the same house. They're back in Georgia, and you're in Nashville.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. At about 5 a.m. every Monday, I make the drive out here, and then I'm renting a place during the weekdays.
Okay.
And then I drive home every weekend. So it's been tough. It has been a strain on the family for sure.
Well, if there weren't any family involved and this was just a professional decision, what would you choose? Let's say you're a single guy and you're trying to win financially through your professional growth. What decision would you be making?
Oh, that would be a no-brainer if I was a single guy.
Which is?
Stay with the federal government and continue to move up.
Okay, then. So that's where we start. So now we go, okay, how do we make that decision work for my family?
Right.
And so we got a couple options. You continue to do what you're doing now, but that's not sustainable. And so you're just delaying the decision.
Right.
So we take
agree.
that.
It's definitely not sustainable.
Of course not. So we take that off the list. So another option is you pack everybody up and we go to Asheville and start a new life. I think that's a very viable option on paper. But we got
this real estate market. It seems a little tougher.
Sure, but let's be real. I mean, there are other areas outside of Asheville where you could still, you could live.
I would.
So
I would prefer to be on the outskirts.
So that's doable. It's really about your wife and then the extended family. And the extended family, to me, doesn't get a vote. It's just that you have to consider how your heart functions if you move away from all that extended family. How far of a drive is it for you?
It's 2.5 hours.
Oh, good night. Okay, forget extended family. I don't give a crap what they think. That's going to sound really insensitive, but it's not. You're 2.5 hours away from mom, dad, the in-laws, and Uncle Larry and Aunt Marge, right?
Right.
2.5 hours. I mean, how often? I mean, come on. How often do you see them during a regular week when you were living there?
Usually every weekend.
Right. So guess what? At a 2.5 hour drive, you can see them a lot of weekends. It's not like you're moving to California. So I'm not worried about extended family, and you shouldn't either. So now this just comes down to your wife, and is it 1 kid, 2 kids? What are we talking about?
3 kids.
How old are
daughters they? My daughter Reagan is 12, Madison's 11, and my little boy Lincoln is 3.
Okay, great news about Lincoln. He has no idea where he lives, what time of day it is. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like he's just living his best life. So Lincoln's good.
Oh, yeah.
The 11 and 12-year-old, they're in middle school. This is the time to do this. I think it's probably, if they were in elementary school, a little easier. But I think the real issue is the wife. Why don't you tell me if you just said today, let's go, what would you be facing? Keep it real.
Her away from her family would be difficult. Like when I was in the Army and we got stationed in Europe, that was very difficult for
I
her.
understand it's difficult, but would she say full stop, no chance? Or does she say, all right, it's going to be hard, but if you think this is best, then I'm in?
I think I could convince her, and especially if we found a nice place in a good school district,
Is she pressuring you one way or the other to come back and start a business?
She's conflicted about it as well. She knows that what we're doing right now is very difficult. It's put a strain on the family.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know, but we're past that. I mean, both of you have got to be adults here and go, this is going to end soon. So now What we have to do as a couple is decide we have two options to end the current scenario. One, I come back to Georgia and I try to figure out how to do something that I love that can pay me well and blah, 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 blah. That's real, man. She needs to hear that. She needs to hear how difficult that is, how not aligned that is with your soul, your heart and your head, and then at the same time, she needs to hear you say, I get that this is going to be really, really hard. And I think you guys got to lay out all of the yucky, hard stuff with two scenarios. Like if I were coaching you guys in your kitchen and that's where we'd be probably, or the living room, and I had a whiteboard out and I'd have Steve to Georgia, Steve to Asheville. And we'd draw a line right down the middle of the board and we'd start with writing down all the hard stuff that would involve the choice for you to take either one of those. And hard stuff for both sides. Her hard stuff, your hard stuff, and let's lay it out there. We have to start with that. And then we talk through that. And then we focus on the good stuff. And I don't think there's a whole lot of good to you coming back and trying to figure out some business to start in Georgia. Do you agree?
Well, I've never run my own business.
Exactly. It's pretty risky, man.
Oh, I know. And that's why I've always been
I would tell your wife, I would say, do you realize how hard it is to start and run a successful business? It's one of the hardest things in the world. And then I'd say, but do you realize what his path looks like if he stays in Asheville and he keeps moving up the ladder? I think you have to cast vision on this, what the financial safety looks like for her. And then you're going to have to address the emotional safety. And she feels real safe around her family, and I get that. And you need to be and I'm sure you sound like a guy who's reasonable, but I think you have to cast vision to say, I get it, but here's what we're going to do. They can come up, you can go, you're only 2.5 hours away. That is not a far drive, Right. And if we settle in Asheville, maybe over time we find a great area and we convince them to move up to us. And I just think this is just good old, well, then I think that's what we do. I think this is good old-fashioned marriage conversation. I'm going to give you called me, I'm going to tell you, I think you should stay in Asheville and make the case to your wife and the rest of the family. This is The Ken Coleman Show.
Thanks for listening to The Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.